While Gatlinburg's natural beauty as the gateway city to the Great Smoky Mountains draws millions of visitors annually to the area, those gorgeous surroundings are also a reminder that we are in nature's backyard. The mountains are home to many black bears, and this is another confirmation that our home is also their home as well. Sharing the same areas means bears and humans must find a way to cohabitate. Over 2 decades ago, the city of Gatlinburg, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency came together to have the initial foresight to be proactive to discuss issues that threaten both black bears and humans, and what could be done to manage these problems. Out of those initial discussions, came a unique partnership and agreement that is still in effect today and serves the residents, businesses, and visitors of Gatlinburg. The city of Gatlinburg and the state's Wildlife Resources Agency have combined forces to create a black bear management position that would control and manage bears within the corporate limits of Gatlinburg. This partnership has been in effect, dating back to the year 2000, and both the state and city equally financially partner to fund this black bear management position, and is designed to produce this cooperative effort to be proactive in helping humans and bears live together. Coming together with the state for this purpose is designed to produce a collaborative effort to create a safe environment for residents, businesses and visitors of Gatlinburg, educating citizens and visitors on interactions and laws pertaining to bears, as well as allowing flexibility for area law enforcement personnel to perform their regular duties with the creation of the black bear management position. This position calls for the management of black bears, including monitoring, capturing and relocating, and if necessary, euthanizing bears, as well as identifying and correcting things that attract bears into the city, such as the improper storage of garbage and people feeding bears, educating the public with laws that pertain to black bears and their responsibility in limiting encounters with bears, as well enforcing laws pertaining to the management and hunting of bears within Gatlinburg. Having this unique, cooperative arrangement with the city and TWRA will allow for management of bear situations in Gatlinburg for many years to come. The agreement with the city and TWRA currently is in effect through the year 2027. This episode of Inside Gatlinburg will dive into this working partnership with the city of Gatlinburg and TWRA, as we are now going to be joined by TWRA Wildlife Officer Scott Reeser, who currently serves as the Black Bear Officer for Gatlinburg.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Seth Butler, the Public Information Officer with the City of Gatlinburg. And this afternoon, we're joined by Scott Reeser, our TWA Wildlife Officer. Scott, thanks for taking a little time with us.
No problem. Happy to be here.
And of course, as many people in and around Gatlinburg know, that bears are active at this time of the year. And Scott, just tell us a bit about your duties with TWRA.
Well, we kind of have a unique duty here with TWRA. We've joined with Gatlinburg, and we actually have an officer, which is me, assigned to Gatlinburg, along with my county duties with TWRA in Sevier County. I'm up here primarily part of my time dealing with bear issues, and that's what we're up here for.
Yeah, and so a lot, especially this time of the year, bears are very active.
Absolutely.
And it is definitely a kind of a responsibility for the people to limit their interactions with bears, not feed bears, and things to reduce those interactions.
Definitely. You know, we obviously have a lot of tourists, several million people coming through Gatlinburg and the Smokies per year. They all stay here in cabins, several thousand cabins in Gatlinburg. Mm-hmm. And you know, each one of those tourists have to realize that when they're here, there's a good probability that they're going to see a bear, and in most cases more than one bear, and what they need to do when they see that bear and how they need to behave themselves so that it's healthy for the bear and themselves.
Right. And oftentimes, you know, it's just you know, that tourist that has that interaction with that bear doesn't realize what their actions have on that bear over their entire life.
That's absolutely correct. You know, we a lot of the instances we respond to are people that are actually feeding bears, actually leaving food out for bears. And what people don't realize that impacts that bear throughout the rest of its life. Mm-hmm. Not only when they leave and they go back home, they leave behind a bear that is now complacent in those neighborhoods and is expecting food from people. So in many cases, we have to go in and remove that bear, and in some cases euthanize those bears that have adapted themselves to getting food from humans.
Right. So if I perchance interact with a bear, what are some of the things I should do? Well,
one of the greatest things about coming up here is being able to see wildlife. Right. And so when you do see a bear on your property or on your rental property, one of the things is that you need to keep your distance from that bear. It's great to take photos. It's great to experience, you know, just seeing the bear and being around them, but you want to make sure you keep a good, safe distance. You want to make sure you don't have anything out to where that bear is attracted to you, such as anything that smells good, food. Put all that away, and just mostly make sure the bear knows you're there, as far as making loud noises, and just don't try to goat that bear into coming towards you at all.
Right. Of course, you touched on the food sources. That's obviously, you know, for residents and visitors alike to be able to secure those food sources. That way it doesn't attract bears.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's a city ordinance in Gatlinburg where it says that, you know, all trash, any kind of trash has to be contained within a system that's wildlife proof and especially bear proof. All of the residents and cabins are mandated to have that system in place. Most of them are metal cans that you see at the cabins, and make sure when you're at the cabins visiting that all of your trash goes inside of those metal cans, is secured with a chain or a lock. Okay, this is an example of a trash system that's been well maintained. It's got the suggested galvanized metal on there, and the grating, the thick angle, and a good thick heavy duty latch that is easy to operate for a guest. And it's obvious that it just goes back in there. You don't even really need any signs on here to tell you that this is where that belongs. And one latch for both sides. Lift it right up, and you can hear how heavy duty metal that is, and just a heavy duty leader back into it. And you can tell there's been no really bear activity around here on this container because it's so well done. The same goes with the commercial areas. They all have dumpsters, and they should have chains, and just make sure that the trash is deposited in those dumpsters. We got to remember to make sure and have the lids closed. And with this trash system especially, all you have to do is close that lid, because then this locking system uses gravity and it automatically locks that lid for you. And that's the biggest thing on trash systems, is having something where you don't have to go back and latch, or, you know, it's automatic. Once they open it up, close it, and they're done, and they don't have to worry about it.
Let's say I'm a visitor to Gatlinburg, and I'm at, you know, somewhere I'm staying, and go at the end of my trip to throw my trash in the dumpster, and I see that it's full. What's something I should do?
Well, you definitely don't want to just leave it on the curb. You definitely don't want to just say, well, I'll just pile it on top with everybody else's. That's something that's going to attract bears and ultimately hurt the bear, and could potentially be dangerous for humans. So what you should do is go to the property management. They usually have an office there locally, or have a number you can call, and just let them know, hey, there's a problem here. We can't deposit our trash like we're supposed to. What do we need to do? And hopefully they will solve that problem with property management on their side.
Right. And another food source that people really don't think about are the bird feeders that a lot of folks have, and how those bears, we've seen quite a number of those go after those bird feeders this year.
Absolutely. I like to call them bear feeders, because up here we tell people, you know, we all like to see birds and feed birds, but up here bird seed is such an attractant for bears. They will pass up acorns in certain situations to go and eat bird seed. So we just advise to not have bird feeders up here, and, you know, really during any time of the year, because it's just become an attractant so much for bears.
Yeah, and the same would go for any kind of normal pet food, like dog food, cat food.
Absolutely. A lot of people that have outside animals, they tend to feed their animals on the porch or whatever, and we tend to say that's a bad idea, because obviously a bear is going to smell that very aromatic dog food and come into it, and be there on your porch eating dog food then. Yeah.
Is there any reason they're attracted to bird food or pet food like that?
The pet food, I think every pet food, you know, that I've had with my pets, it's had a really aromatic smell. You can smell it, you know, as soon as you open the can or whatever. So those bears are obviously going to be able to smell that and come right into it. The bird seed, I think there's an odor there too, but I think mostly it is a good source of protein for them. You know, just like with birds, they use it for protein, and so do the bears.
Right.
So,
you know, let's say I'm a resident here in Gatlinburg, or I'm visiting, and you know, I'm waking early in the morning or late at night, there's a bear on the porch. What's something that those folks should do?
Yeah, definitely. You know, we advise if the bear's on your porch, not to try to go out on the porch and scare it off physically. You know, making loud noises within the house, even as far as getting pots and pans and banging them together, making a sound to where the bear's startled off the porch. And if that bear is there and it won't leave, then you can call the authorities, and then we can come up and handle the situation.
Right. Say I'm a resident here in Gatlinburg, and in talking about trash disposal.
Mm-hmm.
What are some key tips for residential trash disposal?
Mostly just as far as all the trash that you have, just don't leave it out. Don't leave it in the back of your truck or the back of your car. Make sure you're utilizing those metal cans that are supposed to be there, and make sure they're in good working order. A lot of the cans and cages that they have now are starting to rust and get older, and if you're a property owner, or even if you're renting here, report those things to your property owners and say, you know, this can's out of order, we need to get it fixed, or whatever. But making sure the trash ends up in the can and the can is latched.
And then also thinking about if I'm a visitor and I'm in the mountains or up in the park, and very rarely would a bear approach a human, but what on the rare chance that happens, what should someone do?
With a bear approaching you, you know, obviously, as we mentioned before, keep your distance. What you want to do with black bears is volume. You want to be loud. You want to let that bear know that you're there, and you want to make yourself look as big as you can. You never want to turn around and turn your back to a bear and run off. Mm-hmm. That's an indication to that bear that, you know, that's something that would attract it to chase you. With black bears, just being loud, boisterous, and making yourself look as big as you can.
Right.
It's what we tell people the best way to handle a bear encounter.
Mm-hmm. And the number one rule for bears is just never feed the bears.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the biggest thing we see when we have people that get too close to bears, and we have instances is those people are feeding the bears. Mm-hmm. And that's just never a good idea.
Right. Anything else you want to add with us, Scott?
Nope. We just just want to make sure, if you visit Gatlinburg, to make sure follow all the rules and regulations that we kind of have them. We have them in place, and remember, those bears are still going to be there when you go home, and we want to keep our wildlife and our people safe.
Well, thank you very much, Scott. You know, this is ultimately the bears' home, and we're just kind of here with them. So thank you for taking time with us to give us some tips about bears and what to expect with those, and if they're coming around in Gatlinburg. So thank you again, Scott, for taking time with us. And for the City of Gatlinburg, I'm Seth Butler.